What's happening around the world and what's happening here at home? A very good evening to you and welcome to Weekend Primetime News. Let's start off with a look at your local news. President Maithripala Sirisena called on the UN Human Rights Commissioner Prince Zeid Ra'ad Al Hussein today. Newsfirst Shamir Rasuldin reports from New York.
President Maithripala Sirisena met with United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights Zeid Ra'ad Al Hussein yesterday at the hotel where President Sirisena is currently staying in New York. The closed-door meeting lasted for over half an hour. The President's media unit said that during the meeting, President Sirisena has given a complete update on the operationalization of the Office of the Missing Persons Act, the land release in the north and east, and also the situation with regard to those who are in government custody. The President has urged the UNHRC Commissioner to provide the government the 2 years which was agreed upon at the Human Rights Sessions in Geneva in March 2017 to show concrete action into the international community and not to expect quick solutions. Zeid Ra'ad Al Hussein had said that despite there is slow progress in Sri Lanka, the UN is overall satisfied with the accelerated efforts taken by the government to promote reconciliation in the country. Meanwhile, speaking to Sri Lankan media, Foreign Secretary further elaborated on the government's stand.
The President at the UN General Assembly said that the country has to be given time and space. In terms of accountability and human rights, the UNHCR has already given 2 years' time. So what the President meant by time and space, what was he actually referring to? Was it to give more lenience towards Sri Lanka in terms of human rights and accountability or otherwise?
Sri Lanka in 2 years ago and Geneva committed to a program of action in terms of promoting reconciliation, human rights, transitional justice on our own volition on the basis of the 100-day program that the government committed at the time of the election in 2015. So it's a program that the government owns. That is why we co-sponsored it. And however, when we work on that program in terms of various elements that we need to fulfill under that, we have found sometimes the progress and the pace at which we can work vary depending on the circumstances. The time we sought was on that basis. So we want to keep our supporters, partners in international community informed that we require time and space to take forward our commitments towards the objective of completing our reconciliation and development program.
A bilateral meeting was held between President Maithripala Sirisena and UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres a short while ago. President Maithripala Sirisena is then scheduled to visit the New York Buddhist Viharia, where he is due to facilitate Most Venerable Kurunegudapiyattis Thera, and a meeting with Sri Lankan expatriate community living in New York is also scheduled at this location. President Maithripala Sirisena will leave New York at around 11 p.m. on Saturday New York time after concluding a successful 6-day visit to the United Nations in New York. I am Shamir Rasuldin reporting for News First from the UN headquarters in New York, USA.
The National Youth Front held a meeting in Jaila this afternoon. Former parliamentarian and Jaila electorate organizer of the UNP, Joseph Michael Pereira, had an argument with the organizers of this meeting. The event saw the participation of UNP parliamentarians Dr. Kavinda Jayawardena and Ravi Karunanayaka. Jaila electorate organizer of the UNP, Joseph Michael Pereira, enters the premises of the meeting while MP Dr. Kavinda Jayawardena was addressing the gathering. Joseph Michael Pereira did not have the opportunity to speak at the meeting as per the agenda. This was the situation that arose thereafter.
මේක දිස්ත්‍රික්කයේ ඇවිල්ලා තියෙන මන්ත්‍රීනි මන්ද. දැන් මම කතා කරන්නේ නැද්ද? ජාල සංවිධායක මන්නේ. මේක වැරදි මේ සංවිධානයේ මම සංවිධායක නායකතුමා කියලා තියෙනවා. මේ මට කතා කරන්නේ නෑ. ඔබතුමාට විශ්වාසවන්ත වෙනවා. මේ සංවිධායක වන්දනේ මම මේ කියන්නේ.
Joseph Michael Pereira demanded that he should receive an opportunity to address the gathering and got onto the stage. However, the loudspeakers were switched off at the time. Are these not working? This is the problem. The microphones are not working here. You are the person who organized this. The microphones are not working for the organizer of this electorate to speak. Why is this? Is this the UNP, the Youth Front leaders of the Gampa district? I was the person who was appointed as a parliamentarian from Jayala. Where is the media? You will not be able to shut me up and do this. This was a mouth that spoke well. I was a person who worked a lot. A mouth that toppled thousands. I also should have an opportunity to speak. I'm a person who built houses for thousands. I'm not a person who sold lands that belong to the people of Jayala. That is why they switch off the microphone. They are afraid that I will speak of these matters. They are scared that I will reveal who stole lands. You are no longer minister, you are an MP. Do not organize these things in this manner. I will teach you a good lesson from Jayala. Remember this. Report this. MPs Ravi Karanayaka and Dr. Kavinda Jayawardena then exited the premises. The United National Party is a political movement that has won the hearts of the people. This is a party that has done a lot of service to the country. But under the current leadership of the UNP, the party is being weakened. The party has lost the foundation that it had at the rural level. There are several reasons for this. Over the past 2 to 3 years, I have been saying that the leadership is taking the party to the grave. All the affiliates of the party are rogues. They are worse than thieves. The leadership is acting based on the instructions of these rogues. That is why the party is in this state now. A large number of people have left the UNP and are dominating other political parties because this party does not have a proper plan. It does not treat the party members, it does not treat the party seniors. That is why this party is bankrupt today. Minister Lakshman met with the Anunayaka Theros of the Malwatu and Askiri chapters of the Siam sect today. Now, during this meeting with the Askiri Anunayaka Thero, the minister requested the Thero to comment on the expressways.
We did, but there is a group that has gotten the support of 2 or 3 media networks to sabotage this. Is it possible for you to say something on the need of expressways?
Expressways are present in every developing country, and this country also needs expressways. At no point did our news reports on the Central Expressways say that we have issues against the construction of new expressways. The issue is that such projects are being implemented with commercial loans obtained at high interest rates and after various fees are paid. While there are plenty of issues to be resolved in the country, obtaining such commercial loans at high interest rates will only force our future generations to pay off these debts for many years to come. The government has abandoned attempts at obtaining funds through a government-to-government basis and even through institutions such as JICA, and has opted to obtain the funds through a loan from the Tokyo Mitsubishi Bank. The loan, which will amount to $1 billion or roughly 153 billion rupees, will include high interest rates as well as a 10.7% insurance fee, a 1.1% arrangement fee and a 0.25% commission fee. Won't the people of this country have to pay a large sum of money due to the action of this government? Why did the government abandon avenues such as JICA when they attempted to obtain these funds? Was it because they attempted to finance the third phase of the expressway without a proper environmental impact assessment? When issues begin to crop up because of the lack of an environmental assessment, won't the people of this country have to pay more to rectify these issues? Another major issue that has plagued the expressway construction has been the company that has been selected to carry out the construction work. The company in question, Taisei, was first rejected during the bid process as it failed to provide a bid security. When the bids were submitted for a second time, Taisei had the highest bid. Taking both these factors into consideration, Taisei can be considered as a company that was rejected through the tender process. Due to a similar tender issue, Taisei Corporation was charged with a bid rigging by the Japan Fair Trade Commission earlier this year. Allegations were also leveled against Taisei for a sinkhole that appeared in the Fukuoka city. The bid price quoted by Taisei for the third phase of the Central Expressway was 134 billion rupees. Does this cost include advisory fees, costs to obtain lands and resettlement costs? If it does, what is the total cost for the construction of this phase? In a backdrop of numerous issues plaguing the third phase, Subject Minister Lakshman has been misleading the members of the Mahasangha. We have not and will not question the construction of the expressway to make the commute of the public easier. However, we will not stand idly by as attempts are made to misuse millions of money, line their own pockets and make the future generations debtors. The Prime Minister himself explained how such actions that occurred during the previous regime panned out.
From about 2006, our country engaged in incurring a high level of debt, commercial debt of local and foreign, which the government utilized to fund, amongst other things, public infrastructure. The only problem was that there is no payback from such a large number of public infrastructure. So that by 2013, our government revenue was insufficient even to service the national debt.
Minister Kealagama and Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe seems to have forgotten the past. If actions were taken against the bond scam when it was initially reported, wasn't there an ability to reclaim the funds that were lost? The money that was lost has now been invested in various businesses. Is it fair to waste public money for haphazard projects? The people will not forgive those who line their pockets by defrauding billions while misleading even the great Mahasangha of the country. Welcome back to the news. Sri Lanka's inflation rate for August has risen to 7.9%. Now, according to the Department of Census and Statistics, the country's inflation rate in July stood at 6.3%.
Inflation is the rate at which the prices of general goods and services rise with time, and the Department of Census and Statistics says the rise in the prices of food items has had an impact on the inflation rate in the country. Statistics revealed by the department reveals that the prices of coconuts, potatoes, dried spreads, big onions, green chilies, lime, tea leaves, bananas and mangoes increased during this time period. During the month of August, the prices in the sectors of health services, alcohol, tobacco, home furniture, domestic maintenance, transport, textiles, footwear and education increased. The department further notes the prices of housing, water, electricity, LPG and other fuels as well as telecommunications increased during this time period.
2016 අගෝස්තු ඉඳලා 2017 අගෝස්තු වෙනකන් 7.9%.
The price of the basket of goods used by the people in this country has increased by 7.9% when compared from August 2016 to August 2017. There are two groups of items in this basket. One is food items, the other is non-food items, and that includes education, health, telephone and transportation. The prices of food items have inflated by about 12.5%, while prices of non-food items have inflated by around 4%. So what we can see is an issue with prices of food items. As a short-term measure, we are trying to solve the supply issue of food items.
මූලික ගැටලුව තමයි ඒවැයෙහි පොලියේ අනුපාතය ඉහළ යෑම. ඉහළ මට්ටමක පැවතීම. මේ පොලියේ අනුපාතය ඉහළ මට්ටමක පැවතීම.
The main problem is rise in interest rates. Due to high interest rates, there may be difficulties in repayment in the short term. Further difficulties may arise when the loans are not invested in profitable economic activities. Thereby, when it comes to repaying the loans, difficulties would arise in accumulating funds. In the recent past, one of the main things we saw in the country's economy is low income generation by the government and high levels of national borrowing. This has resulted in the government imposing a number of new taxes or increasing the rates of existing taxes. By obtaining commercial loans, what happens is a domino effect. This results in the tax burden on the public increasing, which results in the increase in the prices of goods and services, and this in turn causes the rate of inflation to increase. This situation occurs when the government increases taxation in order for them to repay their loans. In the recent past, the main cause for inflation was the government imposing taxes on goods and services, which caused their prices to increase drastically.
ඉහළ යෑම තමයි සිද්ධ වෙන්නේ. ඇත්තටම පහුගිය කාල සීමාවේ උද්දමනයට මූලික හේතුවක් උනේ මෙවැනි ආකාරයට රජයේ බදුබර ඉහළ දැමීම හරහා භාණ්ඩ හා සේවාවල මිල ගණන් ඉහළ යෑම.
The government has been forced to incur a large cost due to the long-term power generation plan of the Ceylon Electricity Board not being implemented. The government has been forced to purchase a power from the private sector at a high cost due to the non-implementation of this plan.
The Public Utilities Commission has conducted a study and created a report on the long-term power generation plan of the Ceylon Electricity Board. According to the report, the CEB's long-term power generation plan, developed in 2006, planned to add a total of 4,828 megawatts of electricity to the national grid by 2016. However, the CEB has only been able to add a total of 3,856 megawatts of electricity to the national grid by 2016, a difference of nearly 1,000 megawatts. The 2006 plan advocated the creation of 2,100 megawatts through coal power and a further 520 megawatts through gas. However, during the period, the only addition to the grid was through the Norochole coal power plant, which created a total of 900 megawatts. Due to the non-implementation of the long-term power generation plan, there has been an 600% increase in the power being obtained from private fuel power plants. When analysing past records, it can be clearly ascertained that these private fuel power plants have become the second largest power generators in the country.
Demand is growing at 5% a year, roughly. And now I see that the Public Utilities Commission has issued a document which says we expect problems in 2018. The next 6 months are okay. There's no cause for immediate worry. But do take action to set forth the procurement procedures to get additional capacity from various retired plants that are lying around. Because if you wait till 2018 to act, again we have the time problem. It's just the procurement process in government takes time. And unfortunately we have a situation in this country where the whole procurement process is politicized. The people who are going to gain from it, the people who are going to lose from it, they all have an incentive to slow it down, to raise questions, to make technical problems and so on.
According to CEB records, a sum of nearly 40 rupees is paid per unit of electricity being obtained from these private power plants in an unplanned or emergency basis. A total of 35.5 billion rupees has been spent on purchasing power from these independent private power suppliers so far this year. The figure for the year 2016 stood at 61.38 billion rupees. According to CEB estimates, the board stands to suffer a loss of 52 billion rupees. Each citizen of the country will have to spend roughly 2,500 rupees in order to cover this loss. In addition, the CEB Engineers Union recently wrote a letter to the subject minister calling on him to increase the prices of electricity or provide a government subsidy to the board.
If you don't allow the electricity prices to rise, the the electricity company will go into loss. They go into loss, somebody's got to pay for that. Who's going to pay for it? There's nothing called the government, there's us. We will pay for it with our money. And then we will throw the government budgets into disarray, causing inflationary pressures and various other things. So we have to understand that we have to be a little more responsible about looking at energy issues. We have to think about the need that there is a time factor involved in anything, building a coal plant, getting LNG, anything that we are doing, it requires time. Just plain procurement of existing facilities takes time. And if we don't use this time judiciously, what will happen is that corruption will occur, prices will go up, and we as the consumers will pay for it.
Samples of the hand grenades that were discovered in a vehicle yard in Maithripala, Colombo 2 will be handed over to the government analyst on Monday, according to the police.
These 3 hand grenades were discovered on Friday morning at the Sri Lankan Insurance Corporation vehicle yard in Colombo 2. The bombs were discovered by a worker under a vehicle which had been parked near a closed gate in the vehicle yard. The bombs, which were both of local and foreign origin, has been placed in a block of concrete. When the matter was taken up before the Fort Magistrate, an order was issued to the police special task force to detonate the bombs. Thereby, the bombs were detonated last evening at a graveyard near the Mutwal area. No arrests have been made as yet, and the police are expected to hand over samples of the bombs to the government analyst on Monday.
These students and parents turned up at the Sarath Ekanayaka Model School in Unawatuna, Kandy on Thursday at around 2:30 a.m. in order to be transported to Gannorua, which is around 16 kilometers away. 150 students were lined up in this manner as a further 100 students were being dressed up by their parents as if to attend a wedding. The Chief Minister, who is also in charge of education in the province, notes that this was not the only day that academic activities for these students came to a standstill because of this event that they were forced to attend. They spent around 3 weeks preparing for this. It is after this preparation that we are preparing to measure the train of the sari. One of the organizers spoke of the importance they placed on this event, which tried to establish a new Guinness World Record for the longest sari. I was the one who spoke to these people and got the Chief Minister's clothes made. He wore it for an event yesterday as well. It was Manjula who created this for the Chief Minister. All these children are from the Sarath Ekanayaka school. There are 250 children here. 100 dressed as flower girls and a further 150 to unfurl the sari. This is being inspected by an SSP. On Thursday, Action TV highlighted this mistreatment of these children and called on the government to act on it.
This cannot happen. The children are our responsibility. Just because his name is there on the school, he cannot do this. He used public funds to build this school. This should not happen. Whoever commits such acts, it is not right. I believe that the President will look into this.
Yesterday, the parents of the 250 children in question were summoned to the school and were asked to sign a document which states that the students were used with the consent of the parents. However, this is how some parents reacted during the event on Thursday.
There is nothing to say. The principal asked us to come, so we came. Today is a school day. The children have been up since morning. The officials should pay more attention to the children. The entire day is wasted. The children are also tired.
The officials should pay more attention. These are children who have only had a glass of milk since morning. It is not right to keep them in the scorching sun.
As a governor, I will summon the principal and question him regarding the use of children. He will be questioned on the disruption to educational activities and other issues.
This particular incident, which has received international attention, has highlighted that it is unethical to use children for narrow-minded goals. What actions will the officials take? Action TV is on the lookout.
Back. Former President Chandrika Bandanayaka Kumaratunga expressed these views during an event held in Nigtambuwa today.
I didn't tell our government servants or politicians to steal but don't get caught. I began by stating very clearly that I will catch whoever commits such an act, even if it was my mother. Within 1 or 2 years, I sacked some ministers and I moved some others. The ones that I knew were stealing, since I acted preemptively, there was no need to drag them into courts.
A new packaging facility at the Bundala Sultan in Hambantota was declared open by Minister Sajith Premadasa today. The event also marked the launch of a new line of salt named Southern Salt. Mahinda Rajapaksa and the former government are the patrons of destroying the Sri Lankan judicial system. Today there is freedom to speak, to debate, to level an allegation at anyone. White vans are not dispatched just because someone speaks out. We will not interfere in the judicial process. We stand for justice. There isn't an all-powerful family in the country anymore. There is no dictatorship. Today we have a true democracy in the country. And finally, in sports news, mixed emotions were witnessed in the Pimpri complex of Ashgabat today, where the 5th Asian Inter-Martial Arts Games are currently taking place. News First, Stephanie Lazarus reports.
Sitting in the number 22nd position, Sri Lanka will be featured in the Taekwondo qualifying rounds tomorrow.
As we enter day 6 of Ashgabat 2017, I spoke to the General Secretary of Asia Games 2018, Iris Haryanto, about the preparations made to host the Asia Games in Indonesia next year.
We expected to have a successful game next year in Jakarta and Palembang. We already prepare all of things that relating to the executing the games. Indonesia holding the Asian Games will be the second time. We expecting to have around 9,500 athletes, 4,000 as well as the media, about 3,500.
And that's a wrap of Primetime News. I'm Sandro Ferdinando. Do take care and good night.